Her husband had an affair and left her for his mistress. She made him regret his betrayal with a simple move. When a relationship is ideal, there's no reason for suspecting your partner of being unfaithful to you. The heroine of our today's story also thought so, until she discovered a disgusting affair that her husband was having behind her back on the background of their absolutely idyllic marriage. A 35-year-old woman named Kelly let her cheating husband go, and her smart behavior after their separation led to him begging her for a second chance. Kelly and Greg have always been an ideal couple. Kelly's story proves that there's no way to build one's own happiness on the ashes of other people's ruined love. Her husband and she separated 1 year ago. But up until then, she could boast about having a perfectly ideal relationship and marriage. Her husband and she had been married for 10 years before the events that drastically changed both of their lives. They had 2 daughters together, and 3 years ago they bought their own big house, which was such a huge milestone for their family that they couldn't stop celebrating this event for quite a time. Everything was so good that it was hard to believe that things could be even better, but they did get better with time, and she wasn't even expecting that this was the last spell of happiness before her darkest days. The last 2 years of her marriage with Greg were the happiest time of their life. It felt like they were having a second honeymoon, because the feelings between them became so fresh, all of a sudden. She got showered with Greg's attention, love, and passion. He brought her big and small presents, he paid her compliments, he literally behaved like they were newlyweds. She was the happiest woman on earth. She had always trusted him, with all her heart. Of course, she heard some family stories here and there that unfaithful spouses become the most attentive partners in the universe, and some of her friends even asked her to be more attentive to her husband, because he suddenly started bringing her lots of flowers. Her best friend thought this was a red flag. She said this could have been because Greg might have had an affair and was feeling guilty. But she didn't have any reason to be suspicious about her spouse. He had always been loving and attentive, only within these 2 years his attention and love doubled, which she found awesome. She made a shocking discovery that led to an immediate separation. On the background of such a total happiness and love, terrible things were not expected to happen between them. Imagine her shock and frustration, when one day she got a call from some woman she wasn't familiar with. She was doing laundry and talking with her mom on the phone, when she got this strange call on a second line. She answered, though it was from an unfamiliar number, and regretted it instantly. This woman was calling her, and she was crying intensely. Her sobbing was so profuse that Kelly could hardly understand what she was talking about. When she pulled herself together and calmed down a little, she told Kelly that her name is Emily, she's 28 years old, and she's in love with Greg. Kelly thought that was some bad joke, so she tried to close this stupid conversation as quick as she could. But then, she dropped a bombshell that left Kelly speechless. She said she was pregnant and Greg was the father of that child, and that she would do anything and everything to have Greg with her and the baby permanently. She said Kelly must give up on her marriage and let him go. Kelly was hurt. She was broken, and she was crying nearly as hard as this woman in the beginning of her call. She couldn't wait for Greg to come home, she was anxious, and she wanted him to tell her this all was a lie. When he came home and she talked to him, he instantly confessed to her that this all was true. He said that Emily had been his lover for over 2 years, and he confessed that he loved her. He said he wanted to tell her everything before Emily called, but all this time he was afraid that this would ruin her. It did. But she didn't let him witness her pain. She decided she would play another game. Kelly's wise behavior made her husband severely regret his unfaithfulness. She was hurt and suffering in secret, but her pride had always been her dearest possession. Greg moved out to Emily a week later. He called Kelly 2 weeks after he left and asked her if he could come visit their daughters, to which she happily agreed, because the girls were missing him. She decided to be his rock even in separation. She made sure that their daughters didn't refuse to see him. She tried to keep his image whole and spoke to them about how he loved them and what an amazing dad he was. She was missing Greg dearly, but she never lost her dignity. Whenever Greg came to her house, she always tried to look as serene as she only could. She was smiling to him and she never reproached him about anything. She behaved as if nothing had happened, and one day he lost his balance on an ice patch. He came to visit and said they need to talk. He said that he wasn't happy in his new relationship from the very first day when he moved in with Emily. He said that he never really stopped loving her. Greg recalled that she was the only light that pushed him forward in his darkest times. He said that Emily was so different, and she was showing him how to be excited again, but this wasn't love, and he was so deeply mistaken. He said that he imagined my face the first thing he woke up in the morning and looked at the person next to him. And every time Emily kissed him, he closed his eyes to try and imagine her smell. She listened to him and asked him to go away. She said that she wished him to be happy and to never ever approach her anymore. She feels relieved now, as she could see how hard karma hit him on his face, but Greg keeps calling her and asking her for a second chance. She really doesn't know what to do, because she believes that cheaters never change, but on the other hand, the lesson she taught him might have made him reconsider his views on life.